Here's a post from February 2024 from HMS Indecision on Tumblr. She received an anonymous ask that says, I hope one day you realize how horrid bigotry is and can look back on these days with shame and embarrassment, but also with pride how you became a better person. When the people who want to oppress us are done with trans people, they'll go after bisexuality next, then lesbians and gays, then women. We need to stand together or they will push us back into the 1700s. HMS Indecision answered, in order to become an adult, you need to release this us versus them, black and white dichotomous vision of the world. It doesn't exist. There is no cohesive they that I must bond with any ally I can in order to resist. Do you really think that I have gone any period of time without suffering from systemic homophobia and misogyny? Do you really think that I am sitting from a place of privilege looking down at people who are one rung below me on the oppression ladder? What a childish way of thinking. A large proportion of the homophobia and misogyny that I have experienced has been from people who identified themselves as on the left, as trans, and whose values in some ways align with my own. That really sucks. It really sucks that I have been verbally berated and called slurs by both conservatives and trans people alike. Those who believe that performatively being homophobic or anti-lesbian to me have varied values, religions, creed, and political beliefs. They are a deeply heterozygous group. People approaching my short-haired wife to ask her for her pronouns and therefore implying that she is improperly signaling womanhood are the most frequent gender police I encounter. Why is it that I must accept things like being called names for being exclusively same-sex attracted? Why should I accept that because other people have been targeted by the same people who have targeted me? Why is it my womanly duty to provide solidarity with people who tell me I deserve to be raped, beaten, my career destroyed, my friendships rescinded, because I don't ascribe to their philosophical beliefs? I don't believe in gender as a framework to be upheld. I hold gender in the same regard as capitalism or the divine right of kings. It is a system of oppression designed to place men over women. It has had loopholes in many societies, mostly to create a third sex for homosexual men. It operates differently in different societies. But I think it's anti-woman and anti-human. To ask me to believe that someone has an inborn gender identity or gendered spirit is like asking me to believe that corporations are people, that God chose a king, or that the world is flat. There is simply no evidence for that to be true, because it would require there to be something that makes us men or women beyond biology. There is not. Non-biological differences between men and women are purely socialized. If it isn't inscribed on the X or Y chromosomes, it's something you were taught. The clothes you wear, the way you act, the things you like, they are all influenced by the society you live in. The associations of colors, toys, interests, and other things to our sex assignation is partially arbitrary and partly about subjugation. Women aren't born loving makeup any more than serfs are born loving to serve. I believe everyone should express their vision to themselves as they please. I hate the microlabels that are now applied to all aspects of appearance because people cannot conceive of human difference. I think that even things which I consider anti-self and anti-human can be things which adults do to themselves. If you need surgery or pills, then it isn't about identity, it's about fantasy. I understand the necessity of fantasy in an oppressive system. But gender isn't just a source of oppression against women. It is also fuel to create and sustain oppressors. That is part of why the anti-feminism of the trans movement feels so comfortable to people raised in patriarchy, all of us. Because the idea that we all have a multiplicity of gender identities is also about absolving men of thousands of years of terrorism and oppression against us XX chromosome havers. Why should I assume my oppressor has good intentions because of their clothing? Because they got surgery? Does that make a trans woman any safer than any other male under patriarchy? Or is that just a safe illusion so you don't have to deal with the reality? Even your trajectory in this ask, you think they started with trans people, then bi are next? How are they going to go after bi people without going after gay people? Unless you mean just angry social opinions as opposed to systemic oppression? Then women last? Literally, what fucking planet do you live on? I'm assuming you're American based on this ask, LOL, but they have already come for women. Abortion is illegal in many places. Rape is such a constant that we can't even meaningfully address it. Teen girls are killing themselves over male violence just into puberty. Famous rapists and abusers are constantly fawned over. In my state, domestic violence services are so taxed with women that last year they turned down over 50,000 asks for shelter in the statewide network. 50,000. And my local LGBTQ community center has a ban of events that say they are for lesbians or even AFAB people. Did you ever think that maybe you need to start showing some solidarity? When it comes down to it, men always choose each other. I'm doing the most radical thing I can think of and choosing women every time. I don't hate you, but you sure are good at falling for propaganda. Are you wasting your time fighting feminists because it's easier to attack women than stand up to your oppressors? I'm very proud of myself and the woman that I am, and the activism I do, which is not on Tumblr or YouTube. I hope you can find the things that make you deeply proud of yourself as an individual, and that you live in accordance with your own values.